Hey, I'm live. Okay. Let's see how this goes. I'm improvising somewhat in my kitchen, waiting for people to join the live stream. So we'll see if this happens. This actually started easier than the last one. So we'll see how we go. I'm just kicking back, taking it easy, enjoying a beverage. I thought I would use this live stream as almost like a dry run for the end of week TFU Friday. Aussie Brick Chick, thank you for letting me know that it's actually working. Hey. Yes, this is like the second time I've done this. I might do this on an at least semi-regular basis from now on, now that it's proven to be somewhat easy on the mobile app. For whatever reason, YouTube made it really hard to go live from a laptop or desktop. We've got a very bad connection. Okay, that's interesting. I could try a different bit of Wi-Fi and see if that's better. How do I do that? Let me see. Okay, I'm back. And I'm offline. Now I should be online. That's interesting, slight delay with the comments, or maybe that was just delayed because I'm been off for a bit, but should be okay now. I'm going to run with it. I'm back, hurrah! So yes, I don't know how true it is as interesting. Thank you, Aussie Brick Chick, for knowing. Someone's at, I'm in the kitchen. What do you want? No, nothing? Okay, good. Okay, that was almost an interruption, but it didn't happen. So that's okay. Yes, I thought being in the kitchen, I'd be out of the way. All right, Douglas, thank you for letting me know it is working. Yeah, because this is still very experimental for me, how well this works. I suppose if now it's giving me the very bad connection message again. But when I mentioned that last time, you all told me that it still looked okay. So I am somewhat relying on you to tell me what it's like at your end. I think from when I played with it last time, it tells me if it drops the connection altogether. Okay, I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to ignore it unless it tells me that it's dropped the connection altogether. But yeah, oh my god, there is so much happening in the world. I thought I might run through a few ideas, because the ideas are many and varied for what I could make a ranty video on tomorrow. There's of course the ever popular politics, and Theresa May in England turned things upside down by calling a snap election, I should say. 3 years early. That's over the top. So if I understand correctly, it's a 5-year term by default in the UK, and by when the election comes around, the Tories the last election will have only been 2 years ago. So this is actually 3 years early. That's wild to me. In Australia, there are a whole bunch of reasons the Australian government can call an early election, but it has to be within like the last year of a term. There's a whole bunch of ways you can invoke it, and I don't know the parliamentary rules that well, but I think it has to be within sort of a certain range of a general election. Although, of course, if someone's in minority government or loses control, basically, they can have a vote of no confidence cast against them, which can force an election. Politics is complicated. And yes, as was pointed out, Clive Palmer quit politics much the same way that I quit being a cover model for men's bodybuilding magazines. I could have taken some photos, I could have claimed to be a force in that, but me saying I'm not doing it anymore is a bit of a moot point, as it is with Clive saying he's quitting politics because it really only took one term for the Palmer United Party to go down in a screaming heap. Hey Aaron, what going on? Lot going on, in fact. Just threading through some ideas. But I will be very interested to see what happens in the British election. I'm not close enough to it to know exactly what. There's all this, accepted wisdom saying the Tories are going to romp home and annihilate Labour, maybe relegating Labour to minor party status. And all these people with their Jeremy Corbyn is unelectable. See, I don't know, because, he was elected leader of the parliamentary party by the rank and file members. So to call him unelectable seems strange to me when the majority of people who, are likely to vote for your party voted for him to be leader. I don't understand how that makes him unelectable. And honestly, the Labour establishment don't have a lot positive they can say about themselves for the last decade or so. But maybe the pundits are right, and Labour will get annihilated, and that will be the end of Corbyn, and they can go, see, we told you. All I think of is accepted wisdom has not done very well in major elections in the last couple of years. So I'm certainly not going to predict anything. It will be very interesting, to me at least, to see how Corbyn campaigns. If he goes like hardcore working class and, smash the power and all that sort of stuff, no idea what he's going to do. But that, to me, that's not something I get angry about. Like, that's not something to rant about. That's just interesting. Now, I don't know if any of you saw it, but I saw the front page of one of the Murdoch rags. I think it was the Daily Mail, or the Mail, or the Sun. And it was terrifying on a number of levels. They had a picture of Theresa May, like big front page was her whole head. She's looking like a slightly maniacal Bond villain, quite honestly. And there's just this big headline that said, "Smash the saboteurs." Now, I know the Murdoch media gave up any pretense of being objective vehicles for journalism a long time ago, but this is Goebbels level shrieking propaganda. It's like people who agree with you politically are saboteurs and traitors and must be smashed and annihilated and wiped out. It was creepy as fuck, quite honestly. Again, not so much creepy that people feel that strongly. Like, if you're a really strong Tory and you're pro-Brexit, that's your thing. But this psychopathic purge mentality, and must exterminate the people who disagree, that's mind-blowingly disconcerting. And it's one thing online, whether it's on blogs or Twitter or YouTube, random idiots mouthing off and sounding a bit over the top. That's one thing. But supposed establishment organs of journalism behaving like the worst YouTube commenter in history, that's just astoundingly disconcerting and, bloody speaks to the collapse of civilization as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I'm over-dramatising it, who knows, but my drink at the moment, for those who care about such things, this is an apple mint elderflower mix. There's 2 alcohols in lemonade. There's a 95% alcohol Polish rectified spirit in there, which I infused the leaves of a plant called apple mint, which is very well named because it's minty, but also has an appley flavour. And that puts a very nice flavour in the drink. And I also put some elderflower liqueur in there. So, and that's only about 20% alcohol. So, this is an interesting. I don't know if I'm stuck in an echo chamber of lefties, but what do you think about? I missed that. Damn it. Cancel. Cancel. God damn it. By the way, hello. I should bring this a bit closer. There we go. Right up my schnoz. Now, I need to bring the comments back up for a second. And I lost my stand, so I'm improvising something here. Show the live chat messages. Yes, no, I want to see them. Oh, whatever. So it's gone now, and what does this do? I'm just working out how this whole thing works. No, okay, good. Okay, if you would be so kind, whoever it was, repeat the question about being in a lefty echo chamber, and I will answer it in case you couldn't work out what I'm doing here. I am holding my phone in place with blobs of plasticine, like kids modelling clay. I bought a new bloody stand. I pressed buttons and broke things. I really did. I bought a new bloody stand specifically for this. And I've lost an important piece of it. Would I make an angry alcohol video? I have made angry alcohol videos on things. I still make myself drinks, and I stopped making videos of them. I don't know, they didn't really take off. They were good for variety, and I might get back into making. Okay, lefty echo chamber. What do you think of people accusing the media to be leftist-leaning ABC triple J? Okay, left-leaning media. There are a couple of reasons. I could have built a stand with Lego. I haven't given away all the Lego. I literally have 2 huge boxes of loose Lego pieces that I haven't given away yet. That is a really good point, because I even think I know where those boxes are. I could make a Lego stand to hold my phone. That could work. But yeah, the media being a lefty echo chamber. Okay, the short answer is I don't believe it's true, with a little bit of a caveat. A lot of psychological studies have shown that the more education you get, the more you learn. You tend to be a bit more open-minded and not so conservative. It's obviously not universally true. There's a lot of highly educated philosophers, scientists, doctors, everyone who are conservatives. Conservative does not mean stupid. Lefty or progressive does not mean smart. But there are a lot of studies that show if you get into learning and study and analytical thought, you are more likely to drop a lot of really conservative ideas. It's the same as racists tend to have never travelled. It's not universally true, but there is a common thread that the more someone has stayed in one place, the more bigoted they are. The less they are exposed to people who are not like them, the more bigoted they are. And that goes for all things, race, gender, sexuality. You often get some people who be dyed-in-the-wool evangelical Christians who hate the gays, and then a loved family member comes out and they go, wait, I can't stop loving my family member. Maybe I need to actually understand. And they become more accepting. So why the media seems to be more left is simply because the more you are educated, the more likely your views are to seem left-wing or progressive. That's statistically bears true. Okay, I've seen a couple of questions pop up. How's Aidsy going? Not very well. He's been unwell, and recently he fell over and broke a rib and cracked his sternum. He should be over this weekend. We might even do another live stream, at the very least do some videos. We're having a YouTube meetup in Melbourne on Saturday, which he should be at. And you'll hopefully see some more from him. Maybe the media is centrist compared to the right. Well, in the last 20 years particularly, the right has moved further and further to the point where we have open neo-Nazis in the White House. So they drag the centre to the right. So people who used to be centre and objective seem progressive or lefty. In particular, like, the people who argue with science because it contradicts their political views. Because, like one of the dominant scientific things of the day is climate change. And because that appears to agree with what the hippies have been saying and appears to be saying rampant capitalism and exploitation is bad, some people say this is all a political trick. It isn't. And they turn it into a political football when it shouldn't be. And there are people on the left who will arc up about science. I mean, a lot of anti-vaccination people who are complete fucking idiots are actually very well-educated left-wing people. They've just got an idea into their head that, oh, you can't trust big pharmaceutical companies and whatnot, and they ignore all the irrefutable evidence that vaccines are saving lives, like thousands, millions of lives, and they reject the science. So it's not universally one way or the other. Oh, I just said Aidsy. He's kicking. He's not particularly well. Well, Douglas, science doesn't lie. Real science keeps asking questions because obviously you don't have to go very far back in history at all to see that what was accepted wisdom in scientific circles was proven to be untrue. My problem is with people who say, I refuse to listen to scientists and I refuse to ask any more questions. And that's often where religion comes in. Not for, I think, even the majority of religious people, but some people get offended at the concept of their religion being questioned. And they say, like, no, I just believe God made the earth. No more questions. If you ask questions, you're sacrilegious. Whereas the scientific mind keeps asking questions. The scientific mind tends to be glad when they prove that a previously held truth isn't actually true, because they go, ha, I've learned something. I've learned something more, and the thing that everyone thought was true is not true. We have advanced. Whereas I think that conservative religious way of thinking is, don't you dare say everything I think is true is wrong. I'll burn you at the stake. I'll behead you in the public square. And And which is not to say scientists can't be bigots and dig their heels in and be completely wrong, because they can be. But we just hope that, the long arc moves us towards enlightenment rather than ignorance. That's not so easy to hold on to that belief at the moment when you look at the world. Ignorance seems to be gaining an upper hand. And I just see someone ask me about the riots in Berkeley. I find it interesting because I don't think that's a black and white issue. It's very funny because like the really hard pitched fights is not between Trump supporters and Trump opponents. The real hardcore fights are between open white supremacists and neo-Nazis, and they are against the anti-fascists. And that seems to be missed by the media a lot, just because there's red MAGA hats in the crowd and shouting pro-Trump things. It's not Democrat versus Republican. It's not left versus right. It's not Trump supporter versus... Hey, JDs, you're a worthless little cunt, okay? We will put you in the naughty corner. I love doing that. Chaplains in public school. Fucking disgrace. Absolutely fucking disgusting. Reprehensible, indefensible. If you want someone to look after kids, put a psychologist, counsellor in the schools. But the idea of saying, hey, if I put a religious person who only represents one religious view and has no training whatsoever in counselling or psychological support of kids, that's just fucking disgusting. It's absolutely reprehensible. You put the chaplain in there, it doesn't cater for any other Christian denomination. It doesn't cater for atheists. It doesn't cater for Jewish people. It doesn't cater for Muslims, Buddhists, anyone. It's like, I've put a chaplain in school who caters to that much of the school and who has no actual training in counselling. That's disgusting. Is Turnbull sounding more and more like Trump? Turnbull is a spineless fucking dweeb. Nothing he says means anything anymore. He's been so whipped by the extreme right of his own party, and he's so desperate to hold on to power. He's traded away anything remotely approaching ethics ages ago, and now he is saying stupid Trump-like shit. It's like his two most recent policy announcements, they were within 24 hours of each other, as Pauline Hanson rightly claimed they were her policies. The Liberal Party just went, I think we'll introduce some One Nation policies because we're scared of losing votes to them. One was with the foreign worker visas, and the second one was changing the entry requirements to Australia. And both of those are interesting because you can make valid cases for both reducing migrant workers intakes and for changing how you accept migrants to Australia. But he's just gone the low road and I'm just going to announce some One Nation policies because I'm scared, and I think people will love me more if I sound like Donald Trump more. Ugh, yeah. There was a good question that just came up about what do I think about Bill O'Reilly getting the boot from Fox News because they finally can't deny anymore his decades of sexual harassment in the workplace. I think it's fucking hilarious. I think it's absolutely despicable that it went on for so long. What we know so far is Fox paid out at least $13 million in hush money over the last decade or so. So it's just they've tried to keep it quiet for ages, but then more women going public and the snowball built up and up, and there's a very big campaign for advertisers to ditch shit. That's why Fox dumped him, because they couldn't make money off him anymore. They all the advertisers said, we're not going to advertise on his show anymore. And Fox just went, well, he's no use to us now, is he? Let's dump him. There was no new information to Fox. There was nothing Fox hadn't known for a decade or more. But it's just because they were losing money, they've gone, oh, we're going to dump him. So Fox don't get any brownie points for their long overdue action in getting rid of O'Reilly. But it's funny. Oh, yes. Okay. Luke. God, we're on a roll here with weirdness from right-wing media commentators. Tommy Lahren, who's shameless fucking hypocrite and liar, just says whatever outrageous thing that will get her clicks. But she's big on Facebook. She's a shameless hypocrite and liar. But hilariously, she was on Glenn Beck, who is a coke-addicted Mormon, has a network that she was doing stuff on. And on an interview on the woman's chat show, The View, she said she was pro-choice on the abortion front. She said, no, you shouldn't have control over my body. Which, if you were any sort of true Republican, as in government interference, no, freedom of the individual, yes, that should be your position. The idea that the government can control what you do with your own body is ridiculous and is the absolute opposite of professed Republican ethos. And because she said she was pro-choice, Glenn Beck saying going to fire her from the network now, and she has launched a lawsuit for unfair dismissal. But it's all really complicated because she's still on the payroll or something. They just won't put her to air. So it's well, how are you suing us for sacking you if you haven't been sacked? If that had been any left-wing woman who sued a conservative media outlet, Tommy Lahren would have been dumping shit all over her. But typical hypocrisy. She's spat the dummy, and God knows where that's going out. Oh, and the other one that was brought up, Alex Jones saying that he's only pretending when he does his insane shit. I love that. He's in a custody battle in court, and his estranged partner is using videos of his show as an example of he's unstable and way batshit crazy and is not fit to be around my kids, and he's dangerous. Because when you look at the way he screams and yells and foams at the mouth and says outrageous shit, you would be forgiven for thinking that. Nathan saying, first time you've seen a live stream in ages. Yes, I've only just started doing them again. Yeah, well, see, Alex Jones himself said he's playing a character. That's his defense in the court case. It's no, those videos don't prove I'm a bad person. I'm just acting in those videos. And of course he is. The same as I am when I do the really angry. See, if I had a bad custody battle with a bitter ex, it would be very likely that she would trot out the videos where I'm screaming and swearing and going off saying, see, he can't be around my kids. And I would say that exact thing. That's performance. That's not who I am on a day-to-day basis. People who meet me always say I expected you to be angry. And I'm not. I love me too, Jet Crew. Thank you. You're special. Oh dear. And it's true that that's true, Tan. I show them the other channel, less Angry Aussie, or even just talks and discourse like this. But the complicator for Alex Jones is he uses that persona to do two things. One is make money. He's hoodwinking a bunch of gullible idiots out of millions of dollars. He just comes up with whatever deranged conspiracy theory he can think of, tells people it's true, buy my DVDs, be on my site, get me ad revenue. And so he's exploiting idiots. The second thing he's doing is convincing those idiots what he says is true. And that isn't trivial. See, he can go off and say, oh, I don't mean it, I'm acting. But people like him and others who push like the Pizzagate thing in the US, saying that the Democrats were running a child porn sex ring. Eat magpies. Oh, okay. Well, at least it's not mating season now. That, you know, when Alex Jones and others preach insane conspiracies like the Democrats are running a child sex dungeon out of a pizza place, guy showed up there with a gun. You know, the staff at the place are harassed all the time. These are not victimless circumstances. He's hurting people. Like Alex Jones pushed the Sandy Hook is a conspiracy thing. Like people, all those people who had their kids fucking murdered. The worst thing I can imagine happening. You know, the one thing you don't expect when you send your littlies off to school is they will be murdered during the day. And that's like the worst thing I can imagine. But then Jones and other people say, oh, it's not even true. They're acting. Can you imagine the pain that causes? Jones, in his glib, nasty way, is just shitting on actual, real people. He's inflicting horrific mental and emotional torture on people. I mean, he should be fucking jailed as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, that's not going to happen in America. Free speech. But he's garbage. How long have I had a mental illness? Oh, you're such a big boy, aren't you? So, yes. This is the weirdest thing. Okay, for those who don't realise, that one sad little bastard I put on the naughty chair, I just blocked altogether. Oh yeah, sorry, your point, Nath, that's a good one. Jones sells things like doomsday prepper supplies. It's disgusting. Like I said, he's got a double-barreled, ugly thing he's doing. He's ripping off gullible morons with things he sells and whatnot, but he's also convincing gullible morons of terrible things that just aren't true. And he's fucking up the lives of ordinary people, and it's really disgusting. Hey, I'm just thinking, look, change of pace. I'm gonna make some drinks for the weekend. Share it, you know. Look at this. I got Rolling Stones tequila for real. I just saw that Jose Clevo Tradicional. I like the silver tequilas. I like the clear white spirits because when I put things in them, it colours them. But I thought it was kind of funny that this was Rolling Stones tequila. Get that? So the flavour I like to put in tequila, it's not that one. It's this one. It's a chili. This is a rock candy. There's a place on St Kilda Road called the Red Balloon. Call themselves the Candy Artisans. And they make all this stuff in-house. Some really wacky flavours of rock candy and jellies. And this one is sweet, sour, salty chili. So it's a not your usual flavour for a lolly. And it's a great red colour as well. And we probably don't have the resolution to show it on here. But there's like an evil devil. No, it's not going to show up. There's like a evil demonic smiley face in the middle. So, and this has got serious chili in it. I've eaten some of it, you really feel it. So like I can't have this around Aidsy. Aidsy is allergic to chili. Allergic in the way that it will close up his airways and he'll swell up and die. So I can't really have this stuff around Aidsy. It led to like funny situations, like you're being in a cafe or a restaurant with him, he's looking at something on the menu. That sounds okay. And this actually happened. He's basically said, I need to be careful what I order because I'm allergic to chili. does this have chili in it? And the waitress said, not much. It's like, I don't think you were listening. Not much is not an acceptable answer. It needs to be none whatsoever, or I will die on you. I will swell up, start coughing up blood, and I will die. And that will be unpleasant for everyone. So, yes. So I'm making a concoction now that AIDS is not allowed to drink. So, yes, as I was saying earlier, hopefully you'll be here on the weekend. Oh, you like the gold tequila? So, okay. I like gold tequila as well. Like, I only like the silver because I can colour it. Australia becoming a republic. I am a Republican in that sense. I think us having a foreign head of state is ridiculous. And for those who say, it doesn't mean anything, I give you November 1975. When an unelected head of state of a foreign power can dismiss a democratically elected government, that is a bad thing. Oh, yeah, okay. I'm just licking the cracked bits off my fingers. That was spectacular. My plasticine props gave way. What'd that look like on your computers? Was that really jarring? It was pretty jarring here with the phone catapulting over backwards. There's the comment, everything's trying to kill AIDSy. Well, it's trying and failing. Like, at his most spectacular, where he had a flesh-eating bacteria, necrotizing fasciitis, that should have killed him. That is fatal in like 95% of cases. And he survived it. So, he's very philosophical. Like at the time, when someone said to him, like, "Oh, you're the unluckiest bastard in the world getting this stuff," and he said, "Oh, am I the luckiest? Because I didn't die." Whereas at least 95% of people who get that die, and I didn't. So I think that makes me lucky. So it's nice. It's a very glass half full attitude. So take the little cork out of my tequila and pour it into the bottle. Okay. That's about, how much is this? Okay, it's about half. The tequila, this bottle's 375 mils. And the candy's displaced a bit of that. Well, I'm not going to drink it all in one go, Tan. Hang on, I better get that lid. Where'd it go? Oh my God, where did it go? There it went. Oh my God. Ugh. Just hang in there. Saying that's a lot of drink. Like, I'm going to drink it all in one go. I'm not going to drink it all in one go. Make mixed drinks of it. Now this cork won't go back in. There you go, it's in. So this is what I do. I'm doing this with lollies. Sometimes I do it with fruit. Sometimes I do it with herbs. But I use one of these old water bottles because it's good and you can shake it. Already see some colour coming off. Those all melt in about 24 hours. So I'll have a new drink for the weekend. And I'm going to make one other one. Bo, what do I think about government housing policy? It's garbage. I've just gone through the process of moving rental properties because I can't afford to buy a house. And it's bullshit. It's a complicated issue, and you can fall into the trap of being really populist with it and not think it through. But I think it was someone in the Labor Party said this line this week, which I tended to agree with. what sort of world are we in where someone has more financial incentive to buy their 7th property than someone does to buy their first? You know, what is that when we're in a world where someone can more readily get their 7th investment property than someone else can get their first home to live in? And while we're talking, making another one. Whoa, big bad ads. Was Gough Whitlam the greatest PM in history? Gough Whitlam was an enigma. He was a flawed person. He was a visionary, the likes of which Australia really had not seen up to that point. And after the decades of stagnation under Menzies, he was desperately needed. Like, he revolutionised Australia. And the really conservative Tories have spent the decades since doing everything in their power to roll back his initiatives, which shows you how forward-thinking he is, that 40 years later, the Tories still lose their shit thinking about what he did. I am not that great a student of history, to Australian history, to know whether it's a valid thing to be talking about Gough being the greatest ever. He was definitely a visionary. He was definitely desperately needed by Australia. Greatest is obviously very much dependent on what you think of his policies. How's the new house that I checked to make sure it's never owned by a member of the political right? Being haunted is one thing. Look, in this neighbourhood, I'm not going to be haunted by the ghost of B.A. Santa Maria because this is a Jewish neighbourhood. And B.A. Santa Maria is a very conservative Catholic, for those who don't know. So the one thing I won't get here is the ghost of B.A. Santa Maria. So I've got that going for me. So this one I'm making this one with vodka. And this rock candy is salted caramel flavoured. And I've done this one before as well. And this is really good in cocktails, or actually even just straight, or as a mixer. The caramel is just a really good flavour. Where have I moved to? I actually did not move far. I'm like in Caulfield now. Caulfield area anyway. So, you know, from St Kilda to Caulfield is not that big a move. So, but yes, both quite Jewish areas. Where I was before I moved was, I think, a much more Orthodox area. See many more people going to synagogue, all dressed the same, like dressed in black with the big hats, because they were very much the more conservative branch of Judaism. Whereas everyone here is also Jewish. I'm not, incidentally, but they all are. And but they're less orthodox. Yes, I used to live in Sydney. I lived in Sydney for 10 years. I lived in the... yes, I am an inner city trendy. Big bad ads. There's no two ways about it. Yes, you want to know how trendy? It didn't bother me very much, but my partner, Mrs. Angry, I call her Mrs. Angry, but we're not married. That's a difficulty for me. Being my age, well, we're not married, and we don't intend to get married because we think marriage is stupid. But being my age, which is just say over 30, calling her my girlfriend sounds kind of stupid, and calling her my wife wouldn't be accurate, even though online I refer to her as Mrs. Angry. So I refer to her as my partner, and I always find myself, when I say to someone, my partner, I find some excuse to say in the next 10 seconds she or her, just to make it clear, okay? It's a woman. My partner's a woman, okay? And I feel slightly stupid about that. Because I mean, I'm not homophobic, but I don't want people going on about it. You and my sister thinks the same thing. She reckons being married, someone else lies too much. Well, I intend to be with Mrs. Angry for the rest of my life. But we just think marriage itself is stupid and meaningless. She's actually said, because she's originally from England, she's been out here for 30 years. And all her family is still in England. She has said basically the only reason she'd get married, and if we did it, would be like a registry wedding, not a church wedding, would be to force her family to come out here. Like if she got married, they'd have to come out for the wedding. So that might still happen, just to make her family come out here. Oh, I was going to say where I lived in Sydney, didn't I? I was mainly in the inner west in Sydney. And that was everywhere from like Newtown, Redfern, Chippendale. And I eventually moved a bit further out to Petersham. That was the furthest out I lived. I got a surprise when I moved to Petersham. It's where the Portuguese community in Sydney is. And I didn't know that before moving there. All the chicken places do the pressed flat chicken in Petersham. So that was a bit of an eye-opener for me. And then I left Sydney and moved to Melbourne. And originally I lived in Footscray. Like I lived in the west for a while. I was in Footscray and Sunshine and Yarraville. But Mrs. Angry always lived in St Kilda. And so after we'd been going out for a while, I moved out. Oh, I've got no connection. Stay with me. Oh, it's not even saying that there's a problem on my end. That's surprising. All right, we'll wait and see what happens. Mrs. Angry's always lived in St Kilda, and so after we'd been going out for a while, I moved over this side, and then after about a year, we moved in together. But this move from St Kilda to Caulfield, she thinks he's moving out into the boondocks. Charcoal chicken. Charcoal chicken. My kids love that. Chicken and chips. That's young Mr. Angry. That's one of his favourite meals. You do definitely get charcoal chicken places here. Maybe you just weren't in the right area to see them. Having just moved into a new area, I'm getting a handle on all the food places. There's a trendy burger place around the corner, which is pretty good. I actually had one of their burgers, and I noticed they have a food challenge, like this stupidly big burger, 4 patties and 10 pieces of bacon on the cheese and this and a thick shake. And the food challenge is if you can eat it in 10 minutes, you go into the draw for a prize or something, and you get the photo on the wall of fame. I don't usually do food challenges like that. Who knows, I might want to. Oh god, I just thought this awful story a while ago. I was out with some friends, mainly like YouTube friends, and that's a really good question. What is the time? See, that's a really creative idea. Get drunk with Mrs. Angry and do Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. That is a particularly creative idea. Well, like I said, hopefully Aidsy will be over this weekend. Maybe we can do Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Vodka and salty licorice. Dude, that is an awesome idea. I am a fan of that idea. There's a few places around here where you can get proper salty licorice. See, because I like absinthe, which is an aniseed or licorice flavour. And I'm a big fan of that. Oh yeah, salty licorice in vodka. That is an absolutely fine idea. I have not tried that. I will have to do that. Thank you for that suggestion. I like it. I do follow Tipsy Bartender. Yes. I don't watch all his videos, but I've got a few ideas from him, and I like the way he presents. Look, this is already going red. Check it out. That's how much red colouring is in this. I only put those in 10 minutes ago, and it's already going red. Those lollies in there, they'll have all dissolved in a little while. Misties. Okay. Misty's, I was talking about food challenges. Misty's was where I went with friends, right? And Misty's has a food challenge, eat this giant burger in this time period for a prize. And one of the guys in the group tried to do it, failed miserably. When he got to about 90% of the way through, he threw up. And he was going, and we were sort of waving, you probably need to get us a bucket or something. And they were very slow to respond. So he ended up throwing up on his plate. We'd all finished eating at this stage. So this was, for most of us, more funny than it was gross and disgusting, but funny. So he's like thrown up on his plate, and then they did get him a bucket and he threw up more in that. Turns out, one member of the group had a severe phobia about vomiting. And I mean severe. And I didn't know that. I don't think anyone knew that, or we would have done something. But she had a full-blown panic attack because of the vomiting right in front of her. And wow, that bloody threw a spanner into the whole night. Mr. Stephen, I am not drunk yet. I have to go to Geelong early in the morning, so I'm not going to get real drunk. Okay, you want to know the weirdest thing? This is my second mixed drink of the evening. I had absinthe earlier, and when I was halfway through my absinthe, I started to feel drunk. Mike, you're late. That's okay. Yes, I've been going for almost an hour now. I drank about half the absinthe, and it was just like a shot of absinthe in cola. I'm not a purist. I actually like the way it tastes in cola. Absinthe purists would lose their mind out of it. And I drank about half of this, and I started to feel really tipsy. And my lighting's flaking out, in case you don't notice. Hopefully it'll stabilise. But now this one, it's weird. I feel less drunk than I did earlier, which is very strange. But I mean, I suppose I've been going for an hour on this drink, so I'm not going very hard, am I? So it's interesting. Someone just asked what the time was. Who in Australia is around a clock? Because I can't see the time on my phone. I don't actually know what the time is here. Yes, no, the flickering is BA Santa Maria's ghost. Oh, big bad ads. Melbourne, orders of magnitude above Sydney. I always had a good time when I was in Sydney. Like I said, I lived there 10 years, but it's coming up 8:45. Thank you. Thank you, kind people. And I've lived here for 19 years now, and never even considered going back to Sydney. In fact, I've only visited a handful of times. I've only gone back to Sydney for visit a few times. Melbourne's just easier to live in. Like you keep getting this thing with Melbourne was voted the most livable city in the world. And if you don't live here, that sounds really lame. Like before I moved here, I was in Sydney, and the people in Melbourne's the most livable city in the world. I was like, that is the most lame claim to fame. That sounds so pathetic and boring. And then you live here for a while and you go, oh, no, I get it now. It's literally just easier to live here than most other cities of comparable size. It's much easier to get around. Real estate used to be cheaper. It's gone stupid in the last 5-10 years. But it's just much easier to get around than Sydney. I like the lifestyle better. Look, if you're a mad beachhead or a big boatie going out on the harbour, Sydney would have that over Melbourne, but I'm not, so there you go. Oh yeah, Taz, real estate is screwing everyone at the moment. I didn't know she's saying Melbourne created by Tasmanians. Created by Batman, in fact. That's a true story. And a guy called John Batman. And he wanted to call the city Batmania. Even if it had just ended up being called Batman. Could you imagine how cool that would have been the century later when the Batman comic character existed? Just being able to tell people, I'm from Batman. Oh, and Big Ed asking how to been to Brisbane. Yes, I've been to all the capital cities. I have family in Brisbane, in fact, a sister and a brother.
live in Brisbane. So I've been to Brisbane a couple times. I grew up in the country in New South Wales. And Brisbane's just like that. Brisbane's just like a big country town. And so another Batman reference, because there are a few places, when it's a person's name, it's a fairly traditional English name, you tend to say Batman rather than Batman. It's a job. Batman is a job. You're some sort of servant, somehow related to a butler. To be a Batman, and I think you're actually looking after an officer if you're a Batman. But there's places. There's Batman's Hill in Melbourne. One of the police precincts is called Batman Police Station, and Batman train station on the Upfield line, and the Victoria Police Twitter account very gleefully reported once that they'd had, and this was true, Constable Bruce Wayne reporting into the Batman police station. So that was kind of special. when Batman's tied up in your city, it comes out in odd ways. So. But I could have lived if the place was called Batman, quite honestly. I do see all the comments that pop up, and I sometimes think I'm going to come back to that, and then I forgot, and that just happened then. So if you posed a question to me in the last couple of minutes, you asked me, Helsinki. I'm assuming that's where you are, Tavela. I would love to visit Helsinki. That's one thing I have not done an enormous amount of traveling, particularly not to Europe. I've gone to America a few times. I've gone to England a few times. Been in different parts of Asia. I have not done the European mainland. I would like to, particularly because I've made a lot of internet friends who are in various places in France and Germany and Belgium and other parts of Europe, and I would like to visit them. And I haven't had a chance to. I hope to one day. And Helsinki, I think, would be quite a nice place to visit. I think I would quite enjoy visiting there. I just remembered a song by an Australian band where they have a random line where they say Reykjavik. No one ever says Reykjavik in a song, a little ironic self-reference. Reykjavik sounds interesting. Cold, but interesting. And I do have I have a weird little pocket of viewers, YouTube viewers in the Scandinavian countries too. When you can look at the demographics on YouTube and see where everyone comes from. Most of mine are from the English-speaking countries, Australia, US, England. Then there'll be pockets. And I have a pocket of viewers in Scandinavian countries, which I find quite interesting. Oh, gosh almighty. I didn't finish my drink. Only 9 o'clock, I might have another one. I've got to get up at 6. I'm just really calculating. Okay, number of drinks means they will still be in my system for this many hours. So I need to limit it so I will actually be sober when I wake up at 6 a.m. India, in terms of viewerships, one of my most viewed videos when I'm talking on a topic of sex, had a huge number of views from India, and I was looking up the analytics to try and work out why. And it's because it showed up as a related video on a bunch of Bollywood videos, and I have no idea why. We must have randomly had the same tags in the videos, but it had this enormous number of views, and by enormous I mean over 1 million views from India. So they're all dirty buggers in India. You think they're going to see something with sex, in they go. Because I never look at porn, no. Absolutely, Taz, super related to Bollywood. Almost had a fun video once. I was walking down the street and someone was actually shooting for a movie on the city street. I assume they had permits and whatnot. They had all the cameras and they're shooting a scene. And being like most people, I had my phone out and because I was going to post a video like, there's an interesting thing that happened. Look, they're shooting an actual movie here on the street. And some fucking numpty comes across the thing, you can't do that. And I would go, fuck yourself, mate. It's a public street. It's like he wanted to make a scene, and I was this close to go, I'm going to do one of those really fucking full-on public meltdown videos that get so many views on YouTube, because I was really going to get in his face and say, don't fucking tell me what to do on a public street, bucko. And then I thought, that is not a very wholesome thing to do. So I wussed out and didn't do it. But that could have been an entertaining video. Subscribe, yeah, Bollywood. Oh, Bollywood style Aussie. See, if I could sing or dance, I would do that. You know, the dance routines in Bollywood movies, which I freaking love. But I can't sing or dance. There was a very interesting movie I saw years ago. And you pay to see me do that. Yeah, no, that would be pretty disturbing. I saw years ago, it's like an Indian migrant to the US, and it was like a love story, and he was working in like a newspaper stand at a big office building, and so he sold newspapers, and it's like a mini 7-Eleven, had drinks and snacks and whatnot. And the running joke was that he was basically psychic, and he would, oh my god, you can't see what I can see, but maybe I can show it to you. See if you can see this. This is my cat. What's she doing? What is she doing? Mimsy, is she staring at that paper bag? What's the problem, Mimsy? What? Look, she's on the other side of the glass, and that bag is troubling her. That is really funny. Could you see that? Now I've ruined. I've ruined my little stand. I'll put it back together. But I had to show you that. So, well, I got very bad connection showing up again, but that went away last time, so we'll do that. Move the paper bag. Oh, she's gone now. That was just bizarre. My cats are weirdly neurotic. That is my older cat. She's about... God, she's really old. Just so old, Mimsy. She's over 10 years old. And we've got another cat who's about 6 years old. But she's a real runt. She still looks like half a kitten. She never really grew up. Shadow. I don't know where she is. But they're both quite neurotic, and they were both very neurotic about the move. But they've settled down a bit. Alright, the video went offline for a bit when I showed it. I probably moved the phone out of the magical Wi-Fi zone. It's doing very bad connection. Yeah, Aidsy had a cat who was over 20, was like really decrepit and grumpy and had weepy eyes and was losing teeth and was grumpy as shit. And yeah, just disappeared one day, like went off to die quietly, something they never saw him again. But yes, really old cats get really interesting. Oh yes, the 10 centimeter ones. Yeah, like I'm just here in the kitchen, and you know the modem's just in there, and I've got a Wi-Fi expander. Yeah, last time I did the streaming from my mobile, it was acting like it wouldn't work at all on my Wi-Fi, and so I used my mobile data, because I have a fair bit of mobile data, and I would have done that tonight if needed, but it seems to be performing quite okay on the Wi-Fi. If it really crapped out, I'd go back to my data. So I've got about 10 days left, and I think I've only used half my data, so I should be fine if I did it again. But oh look, I've run out of drink. I think I can have one more drink. Ooh, what have I got? Oh, I think I'll keep it simple. I want to just have some absinthe. So we'll take this in stages. I'll get some ice. Right, so this will be a bit noisy. I'm going to put some ice in my glass. Got my little rubber ice cube tray. Buffers every now and then. That's okay. Like if it really craps out, I'll try it on data because it seemed to be much faster on data. And I haven't had to do it. But if it's going to stay on just the Wi-Fi, I'll stick on that. All right, now I'm going to put the ice away. And now, if you'll bear with me, I'll get. I have to go into the next room, so you'll have to hang on for a sec while I go in the next room. Well, I tell you what, I learned something while I was out there. For anyone who's been here the whole time, at one point I thought someone was knocking on the kitchen door. It's a sliding door. They weren't. If you walk past it, it moves and makes noise like someone's knocking. There you go. Northwest Melbourne. I have... well, RC, honestly... Ernest Hemingway, that's like the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. My internet is through my cable, like a Foxtel through cable, and so that's as fast as you can get in Australia. But I just got this out of the brown paper bag, like I got this at work today. This is this French? I think it's French. Bellevue. Yeah, it's French. It's got a French name, Jacques Thoreau. 85% alcohol. So I'm going to have it with vanilla Pepsi Max. Even though Pepsi were incredibly embarrassing with that mind-bogglingly stupid video they did with a Kardashian solving the world's problems with Pepsi, I'm still going to drink it. It was embarrassing and terrible in every imaginable way, but I like Pepsi Max too much to stop drinking. I need my jigger. I don't want to drink too much of this. Like when your alcohol is 85% alcohol, there is no way I'm free pouring that shit. I'm going to measure it because I need to know how much I'm drinking. That's just a wacky thing I have, wanting to have an at least general idea of how much I'm drinking. So, like a shot of that is basically like a triple vodka or a double gin. So, I like to be a little bit responsible. Didn't set anyone on fire. That's an old school reference. For any of you kids who don't get it, Michael Jackson was filming a Pepsi commercial. I'm trying to remember if it's the 80s or 90s. And there's some pyrotechnics on set and his hair caught on fire. For real, that's a thing that happened. So Pepsi almost killed Michael Jackson. So yes, so just being embarrassing is arguably a step up from setting their celebrity on fire. Although, with a Kardashian, I'm all for it. Set them on fire. Yeah. Just do it. Is that Pepsi? No, that's Nike. I just think, yeah, that's a slogan to me. Should I set a Kardashian on fire? Just do it. Right. You're right, Mike. This is the weirdest thing about how Telstra set up the internet through Foxtel. The download averages at like 100 MIPS, like it's downloads super fast, but they hardly put any of it into upload. Like it'd be less than 5 MIPS up. It'll be 2 or 3 MIPS up. And I actually asked them that once because, you know, being a YouTube uploader, I would like it if my videos uploaded faster. So why is there such disparity? Because like some people are on, you know, ADSL, it'd be 25. And they said, oh, it's because if we added to the up, it would take away from the download, and 95+% of our customers only give a shit about download speeds. So we port everything into downloads. And it's like, well, from a business point of view, I see why you would do that. Yeah. Ugh. Yes, I agree with you, Stephen. I like Pepsi Max, which is the sugar-free but higher caffeine than Diet Pepsi. So years ago, I used to drink Jolt Cola when you could still get that. That had twice as much caffeine as most cola had in it, and I was really into that. But it's also has twice as much sugar, and I had to like cut down on sugar, and so I stopped drinking. I thought I need to drink a sugar-free drink, and rather than go Diet Coke, I went Pepsi Max because well, at least Pepsi Max has more caffeine in it than other colas, and I just eventually developed a taste for it. Like I like it more than other colas now. Like if I taste a sugar cola, it's like, ugh, I don't really like that. So, yeah, and before I started drinking it, I never would have thought that. And I had to acquire the taste, but now I've got it. It's the taste I prefer. So, and it's about time they sponsored me, quite honestly. I used to always do this on the live streams when I did them more often about 5 years ago. And I'd be drinking Pepsi Max the whole time, thinking, God, bastard should sponsor me. Oh, yeah, Bo. Look, the biggest problem with the National Broadband Network is that it was a Labor Party policy, and it was a good policy. It was a good economic policy. It was a good social policy. But the shallow nature of politics today, the then opposition couldn't say, this is a good policy, we support it. They had to say, it's a shit policy. All their policies are shit. Even when it's a good policy, they had to say, no, it's shit. And that was compounded by, for whatever reason, and I've heard a few suggestions put forward, but for whatever reason, when Labor under Communications Minister Conroy was trying to deploy the NBN, it was very slow and they were fucking it up constantly. And so by the time the Libs got in power, the NBN hadn't progressed to the point where they had to commit to it. It had stalled, so they could say, oh no, we're going to cut that off because it didn't get anywhere. If it had been put together more coherently under Labor and had advanced past the point of no return, the Libs would have had to keep it. But because the rollout, the deployment was so slow and so badly done under Labor, and a lot of people blame Telstra for deliberately nobbling it. But for whatever reason, it wasn't very advanced when the Libs got in, and so the Libs could nobble it completely, which is a fucking travesty. But anyway, you know, I got cable internet, so I don't mind. Look how red my drink's going. Seriously, this puts real bite in the drink. I do this reasonably often. Use the Red Balloon chili candy in drinks.
And so got a dip. Thanks for dropping by. Oh, you're supposed to be editing. Yes, you should go and edit. I know what it's like. This, on one level, is procrastinating from editing. I'm trying to talk through some things, and I'll do an edited video tomorrow night, all things being equal. I have to drive to Geelong and back tomorrow. Probably should like set up my GoPro in the car, and I could do a talkie rant while I'm driving. It's pretty good. Oh, I don't think I have what I need. Like, I don't have the bracket. Like, so many things are still in boxes here, and I don't think I have a usable bracket to put the GoPro in the car, which is a bit of a bummer. Oh, the Red Balloon, Gemma, is on Chapel Street. You probably get it online. They call themselves the Candy Artisans. But yeah, their website is redballoon.com. Sorry, theredballoon.com.au. It's good. They've gotten used to me because I actually told them what I do. I use their candies in drinks, and I make videos of them. And so they give me bonuses. Oh, I've done that before, Bo, when I'm driving and just and I was messing about, and then something bad actually happened, so I full on started swearing. How hot is the candy? It's pretty hot. Like, I'm not a big chili head, and I can have one, and it's pretty hot. But yeah, if you're a real chili head, have a handful of them, because like in the drink, this is, if something happened to me, Joe, I wouldn't post the video, would I? So, you know, I'd only post it if it was funny. Oh, all the candies in here, Gemma. This is, there, look. That's the packet it was in. They're called the Red Balloon. So it's just like, you know, rock candy, and they coloured it red and put little angry faces. This is the other one I had. This is salted caramel. I put that in vodka. But yeah, having that in a drink, it's really like, it's really nice. Like just with a single shot, like mixed with something. It's like you do it and go, tequila, and then this burn goes down. Oh, so Stephen, I haven't streamed while driving, but I've recorded video while driving. But yeah, Gemma, if you're a chili head, they do a couple variants on chili, and in fact, they told me today they were going to try some new flavors, and one of them sounds really interesting. They were calling it Ice and Fire because it was going to have a mix, like the stripes in it were going to be mixed like a chili with a menthol, so you would actually get alternating hot and cold sensations from eating it, which sounds really cool in my opinion. Something to look forward to. But yeah, they were saying in the coming weeks they'd have a couple new flavors, so I'm going to have to try them. Oh yeah, Stephen, yeah, no, I've done multiple videos while driving. Oh, dude, Joe, on the Gold Coast, yeah, I bet you do have the bad drivers. It was I've done some where I was for real driving, and somewhere we're like jokingly making fun of the way I behave in traffic, which were fun to do. Oh, here's a true story from a long time ago, like eight years ago. When we had our first big YouTube meetup in Australia. My friend, one of my first YouTube friends from America, Corey Williams, aka Mr. Safety. These days he's vlogging under, Do Like LA's in Alaska and whatnot. In those days he was more doing funny videos, and he did the first big meetups in the US, and I brought him out here to do one in Australia. And was driving around. I had Corey and a guy called Damien, who was the YouTube partner guy at the time. And they were in the back seat of my car, and we're driving through the Melbourne CBD, and one of the little lanes, I think it was
Flinders Lane, I think we were in, if you know Melbourne. And when we were crossing a street, all these idiot fucking pedestrians were jaywalking across. Like I had to wait for ages for the light to change, and these stupid pricks were still jaywalking when I had a green light. And I when I'm in cars, I just talk. Like I don't lean out and shout at people. I just say it to myself in the car. And I was like, I was going, come on, motherfucker, step in front of me. I will run you down dead, you motherfucking piece of shit. I don't fucking care if you live or die. And then I heard a voice I didn't recognize from behind me say, well, that's unnecessary. And I looked over my shoulder and Corey had the damn window down. And this is a really narrow lane. So the pedestrians were right next to the window. So when I'm sitting here saying, I'm going to run you down dead, you motherfucker, they could hear me really clearly. And I just looked around, wind up the fucking window. And Corey and Damien were in hysterics. They thought it was the funniest thing ever that all these pedestrians just heard me threatening to murder everyone. And I was just like, no, dudes, not cool. Wind the window up. I need to have my own little environment here, okay? Probably my favourite thing I've done to pedestrians, one thing that's a real fucking pain in the ass in Melbourne, if you're in the city, when there's a football match on. Yeah, Joe, you would have told them to get fucked. I was slightly embarrassed and I just told the guys to wind up the window. But no, when there are football crowds in the city, because there's thousands of people go to the football, and they tend to just ignore the red lights, and because there's so many of them, they're just streaming across the road, dozens and dozens of them, like on the belief that no car will run over that many of them. And I was down near Docklands where the Etihad Stadium is, and there was a game on, and I was waiting at the lights, and these people were going streaming across the road, and then the lights changed and they just kept going, and I sort of went beep, and they acted like nothing was going to happen. So what I did is revved really hard. I'm driving a manual. I revved really hard, so it made a lot of noise, put it into first gear, and just inched my foot off the clutch, and then braked. So the spun really loud rev, spun the wheels, and the car lurched forward like only a couple of centimeters. But because these pedestrians walking right in front of me, like nothing's going to go wrong. And then I suddenly rev really loud, drop the clutch, spin the wheels, and lurch towards them. And they shat themselves. And my favourite was this one woman who freaking went, ah, and fell over. I thought it was funny. Because they really thought I was going to run over them. And I wasn't. I wanted to, but I knew it wouldn't work in my favour if I did. So I wasn't going to. It was so fucking good. They all freaked out and jumped, and one of them actually fell over. It was so worth it. I was so happy after that. It was friggin' awesome. It was one of those things where I wished, Mike, yes, I'm a cunt. There's no two ways around it. Oh, Christ, RC, on grand final day? Don't even get it. Stick bits. Well, you're a shit-sucking turd. I'm a bit of a dickhead, and you're a fucking loser. I'm just throwing it out there. Free speech and all that. It was just like, it's one of my favourite things on the internet I love doing to worthless little cunts who mouth off. Is blocking them, because they take that as such an affront. It's hilarious. I wouldn't do it if it didn't wind them up so much. Like, they fucking lose their minds, whether it's on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook. These mouthy little wankers that they lose their mind because they go, "You're infringing my free speech." It's like they're so dumb they don't realise. Like, dude, I wouldn't do it if it didn't upset you so much, but because I know it upsets you, I'm going to do it. And the number of times I've had people come back at me like, "Oh, why did you block me on platform?" Like maybe I'll block them on Twitter, so they ask me on YouTube. Maybe I'll block them on YouTube, so they ask me on Twitter. Things like that. "Why did you block me? I didn't do a thing." And I don't know who you are. No idea who you are. But I'll tell you right now, without even knowing who you are and what happened, the reason I blocked you is because you're a total cunt. Now tell the truth. You know what you did that made me block you, didn't you? And then they were always sheepishly, "Yeah, I know what I did." It's like, yeah, so don't fucking come to me with "Oh, why did you block me?" You know exactly why. You did something stupid, you were like a really obnoxious bigot, or you were part of particularly on Twitter, you were part of a mob that was swarming me or whatever. And it's like, you don't get to act like a cunt and then have me not react. Initiator, is that what that is? What up? I think I've done pretty well making anything intelligible out of that username. To quote Jimmy Carr, people who annoy me, I call them a cunt. But they lack the depth, the warmth and depth, or the capacity to bring pleasure. Yeah, that's a slightly Australian thing to just immediately call someone a cunt, I guess. I grew up in the country. I can't help myself. Jason. Okay, but was I right? That's Initiator. That username is Initiator, Jason. Oh, that was my attempt at deciphering it. This is my favourite version of calling someone a cunt. Is someone English getting offended that someone in an Australian workplace called them a cunt, and so the English person complains to the manager and says, "It's not acceptable, they call me a cunt." And so the manager takes the English guy into the lunchroom and says, "Yeah, for fuck's sake, which one of you cunts called this cunt a cunt? You can't fucking do that." "Oh, thanks, big bad ads. I do my best." And quite frankly, I know what I do is not for everyone. I know a lot of people don't agree with my political views. Happy birthday, sir. I am older. That is absolutely true. I know that my political views aren't everyone's, but I don't do it for everyone. And it's like, if it's not for you, that is absolutely cool. Go off and find someone who is for you. But if you try to change me, I'm really going to go you. Oh, happy birthday for last week, Joe. Oh, you're talking about English being really upset. A funny story, and I've probably told this one before. About 4 or 5 years ago, I did my first big trip to the UK, and I caught up with some of my YouTube friends there, and I decided to do a road trip with this guy Steve. We'd never actually met. We planned out a road trip. We were going to be together and stay in hotels for 4 nights. Huge risk. People who'd never yes. Yeah, okay. I'm going to answer that thing. I get distracted. I don't like to not reply to the comments when people make them. And if I'm in the middle of telling a big story, I have to cut in and do it. And I do get distracted. So my choices are be distracted or ignore people. And I don't like to ignore people. But I'm going to go back in my story. So, traveling with Steve, we did a road trip. We went from Bath to Nottingham to somewhere else. What's the music place? The place that's famous for music. I can't remember. And then to London.
So we were together basically for 4 days, 4 nights, and we'd never met. Manchester, that's what I was trying to think of. We went from Bath to Sherwood to Manchester. Oh no, we went to fucking Scotland. What am I talking about? I wanted to go to Scotland because my family heritage is Scottish. We had 2 nights in Edinburgh. So we went Bath, Sherwood, sorry, not Sherwood, Nottingham. I keep saying, mixing up Robin Hood things. So, thanks RC for saying I should ignore you. Yeah, I didn't really see Manchester. We just stayed there in a hotel. We drove from Bath to Nottingham. Didn't really see Nottingham, just stayed in a hotel. Then drove to Edinburgh, stayed there 2 nights, did sightseeing. That was freaking awesome. Driving towards London, we stayed overnight in Manchester. Didn't really see any of Manchester, just stayed in a hotel. And then went to London and I was there 2 nights. So never met this guy. We interacted on YouTube and it was like a really big risk to spend that much time with someone you'd never met. But we had a great friggin' time. Anyway, we were on one of the motorways and it was real like, it's the fast lane. In the UK, you drive on the left, like Australia, and there's multiple lanes. The slowest are meant to be in the left and the fastest in the right. Initiator wants to drop a link. Sure, what's it for? I mean, go for it. And the fastest is supposed to be in the right. And the right lane was being blocked by these fucking horsey types in a Range Rover. Like, really raging stereotypes of upper class English, like a woman and her teenage daughter with a blonde hair and they've got all their horsey gear on and they're just blocking the fast lane. And it was fucking ages till we could get past them. And I was so pissed off. And Steve was driving. And so as we finally got past these people in the fucking Range Rover, I wound down the window and leaned right out and gave them the finger and went, "Move the fuck over, you fucking idiots." And the looks on their faces, they were like shocked. It was like the worst thing that had ever happened to them. Like, they were so shaken up, like, "Oh my God, that person stuck their finger up at us and is shouting what seemed to be obscenities." And they were obscenities. And it made it so worthwhile because they were so upset at the fact that I leaned out and gave them, "I'm so affronted. The lower classes are rising up against us." Fuck those people, quite honestly. And Edinburgh is a fucking awesome city and I would like to spend more time there. What I would like to do is go right up to the northern tip of Scotland. A lot of my family came from the Orkney Isles, which is off the north coast of Scotland. Didn't get that far, got as far as Edinburgh. And I want to go to Ireland one day too. I meant to go last time and it didn't happen. Joe, shout gibberish. Oh, again, okay. True story. I went to college in Bathurst, which is west of Sydney in the mountains. And Bathurst, besides having, well, now it's part of a university, there was a college back in my day, College of Advanced Education. And besides having the Mitchell campus of Charles Sturt University, it's famous for having a racetrack, Mount Panorama, where various races are held. Car races and bike races. Yes, I see, that's the missing chapter of Brideshead Revisited. But so this is a country town that has a racetrack and it has a couple of really big racing events, some car races, some bike races. Very interesting when the bike races are on because the town's swarmed by bikies, but they're usually really nice. The car races attract really fucking obnoxious pricks, quite honestly. The bikies are much better behaved than the fuckheads who come for the car races. And I find these guys in their hoonmobiles, like, because I was at uni and I'd be walking walking with a female friend and this idiot would lean out the car window and go, they wouldn't use words. It wasn't words. They were leaning out going, and I thought, well, that's what it's like being a chick. Guys lean out of car windows and shout unintelligible things at you. Sucks to be female. But then I was walking by myself, just a bloke, and a car of whose went past and the guy leans out the window and goes, so, okay, that's just a thing they do.
That is literally just a thing they do. They shout unintelligible shit at people. And I don't know what's going on there, but I've seen, since being in a town that had a racetrack that attracted a car crowd, I've had very low patience for car people. There are people I'm friends with who are car people, so obviously it's not a blanket thing. Individual car people are cool. But the culture around big car events fucking shits me. And that's just because of my own experiences with it. So I agree, Joe. Just hurl something at people. Man, when I lived in Sydney, this is hysterical. Like, anyone who meets me now goes, "You're not really very angry, are you?" Because in general day-to-day life, I tend not to be. And like, when I drive in a car, I don't lean out and shout at people, but I do say stuff in my own car like, "You're a fucking moron, you deserve to die. Who the fuck gave you a license? What's wrong with you?" But when I was in Sydney is just an angry-making city. I would actually lean out car windows and just scream at people like, "The fuck are you doing, you stupid cunt? Get off the fucking road!" I was fucking mental as a driver in Sydney, but everyone is. Everyone in Sydney is a mental driver who's trying to kill everyone else. So I tried to explain to people the main difference between drivers in Sydney and Melbourne. If you're driving in Melbourne and someone does something really stupid and nearly kills you, they did that because they're really stupid. They like went through a stop sign or a red light or give way because they just went, no one wants to run into me, it won't matter if I go through here. They just did something really stupid because they are stupid. In Sydney, if someone does something and nearly kills you, it's because they fucking hate you and they were trying to kill you. See, in Melbourne, it's just an accidental byproduct of how fucking stupid they are. In Sydney, if someone tries to kill you, that was on purpose. That was a really weird one. Who's saying remembrances of things past? Like, oh. And you're like, you can't out-hoon me because I grew up in a country town and there was fuck all to do. There was just fuck all to do. You go down the main street, that's what you do. You do laps for no good reason. You just drive around and around and around. Or you park down the main and you maybe get a pizza and you sit on the bonnet of your car and eat the pizza. And that's a fucking social life. Where I grew up, that's your fucking social life. Stephen, I did a little bit of driving in London, not enough to get a real flavour of things. Other times I've been in taxis and taxi, I don't really pay attention to what other people are doing. London was not harder to manage than Sydney or Melbourne, even though it's a much bigger city. You burn some of your tyres away. I try not to. Every now and then I will do burnouts, I have to admit. Yes, I always find it funny. Someone tries to call me, on YouTube particularly, tries to call me bogan as an insult. I went, man, you don't know the half of it. You have no idea where I grew up and what it was like and how fucking bogan that actually was. I'm a refined upper class gentleman compared to the town where I grew up. Musical elevator, I reckon that's about right for Sydney. Some people going way too slow and the others going way too fast. Oh God, I did a thing a while back on one of the freeways here. I was actually going to Sydney, but I was still in Melbourne. I was in the outer suburbs of Melbourne on a motorway. It's like 110. And I was overtaking someone, and that's all. It was all fine. And then this fucking hoon comes out of nowhere. Fuck knows how fast he's going. But because I was going over 110 because I was overtaking someone, and he comes right up on my back bumper. And I was like, yeah, no, that's the wrong thing to do, buddy. I've got low battery power, I'm going to have to go. I was like, that's the wrong thing to do. And and I just took my foot off the accelerator. I didn't brake, but I just took my foot off the accelerator. So I slowed down and he had to back off, and it was only 2 lanes. And as soon as I sort of slowed down where the car on the left was, and he was going to try and hook around, I just speed up again. And I was trying to give him the message, don't fucking tailgate me. If you don't tailgate me, I'll overtake this guy and then pull across to the left. If you tailgate me, I'm going to fuck with you. And this went on for about 10 minutes. And he was really stupid. It didn't get through to him. But I hate people like that. Oh, I had another question asking about AngryAussie. Well, we covered the AngryAussie stuff earlier. But a brief recap, because he's a wonderful chap and everyone loves him, as is right. He's lovable. He has been unwell, even by his standards. If I say AngryAussie is unwell by his standards, by a normal person's standards, that is dead, okay? AngryAussie is nearly dead most of the time. So if I say he's unwell, it's really bad. And he's been unwell, and that got compounded. He fell over going for a tram, I think, and he broke a rib and cracked his sternum, and that really incapacitated him for a while. But he's feeling a bit better, and I am, unless something goes wrong, catching up with him this weekend. So we might even do a live stream together, which would be a lot of fun. With we can't give him the chili because that will kill him, but I think he would like the absinthe and the salted caramel vodka. Okay. I'm gonna have to filter this. This has got a weird scummy thing happening in it. That's okay. When I have to filter these, I run it through a coffee paper filter, and that just gets rid of the sediment. You probably can't. Actually, you probably can see the weird scummy bit in there. Don't know what that is, but I'll filter that. Oh, Nathan, you met him in Canberra. Yeah. He was with his family in Canberra for a while. That's when he was very, very sick and he actually needed someone to look after him. But he has Jason now, and Jason is a super nice guy, and they'll both be... I don't know if I said, my partner, Mrs. Angry, is away this weekend. This is sort of partly what I'm doing there. She's gone off to a training thing. She's very professional. She has a training thing that's actually up on the Gold Coast Bond University. So I'm left to my own devices this weekend. So I've insisted AngryAussie has to keep me company. We're having a meet up with a bunch of YouTubers on Saturday, and I'm hoping he comes over here. So we'll either do a live stream or make some videos to put up, or both. We'll probably do both. And we might get a bit inebriated and have a bit of fun. You know what I've always wanted to do with AngryAussie, and we might even have a go at it this weekend. Who here knows Derek? Nathan, you came to AngryAussie's meetup. Thank you. He really appreciated that. And I'm glad that you know that AngryAussie's a top bloke. So, well, thanks, Joe. Look, we always love meeting people as well. So hopefully AngryAussie will be here. Hopefully we'll get to do a live stream. We might get a bit inebriated. We might be a bit affected. And in fact, what I want to do, who here knows Derek and Clive, the outrageously filthy thing that was done by Peter Cook and Dudley Moore in the 1970s? Flappy dogs, yes. Anyway, what Derek and Clive was, Peter Cook and Dudley Moore in the 1970s went into a recording studio, got shit-faced drunk, and just had the tapes running. And they were free-forming and doing the most depraved, disgusting, filthy shit imaginable. In fact, imagine the filthiest shit you could think of, and they went further than that. And both of them were comedic geniuses, and they were shit-faced drunk, and they were just doing the worst things imaginable. So what I've always wanted to do with AngryAussie is, basically our version of Derek and Clive, which I think we're going to call the mayors of Wrongtown. Because when he used to do stand-up comedy, he had some very wrong content matter. And but he has this charm where even if he's saying the wrongest thing imaginable, he can get an audience on side. So he was like the mayor of Wrongtown. So we were thinking of doing this stuff and calling it the mayors of Wrongtown, getting 4 sheets to the wind and just free-forming and saying the worst fucking things we can imagine and recording it. So we might do that this weekend. You never know. You never know. You're like in the big city. Yeah. Well, Stephen, there are 2 things we thought of. One is first just do it. Just record it and do it. And then watch it back sober and say, will we go to jail if we do this? I swear, because I've sort of had these conversations with him before where it goes really wrong. And I've gone, I think we'd want to do this like in silhouette and do some voice modulation so it doesn't sound like us, and just put it up on an anonymous YouTube channel, because if anyone traces it back to us, we'll go to jail. There was someone was referring to watching his stand-up routine he did at the Melbourne Comedy Festival. God, about 5 years ago now. It's called Code Grey. It's basically his life story, the story of his medical misadventures, and all his dying and other health issues. When I say die, he's died several times and just come back. So he's a zombie, basically. Zombie AZ. God, I got distracted and I forgot what I was even going to say. So, AZ, Code Grey, whatever. No, I've lost it. You're right, Joe, that performance was amazing. And in fact, the version of the video, because each show was slightly different, and I recorded 4 shows. What I really wanted to do was edit stuff from the different nights, because he would run overtime all the time, and sometimes he would leave bits out, and I wanted to edit the different bits from different nights into one thing, and it would be slightly longer, but that would be a lot of work, and I've never done it. That's terrible, isn't it? But yes, so we might record Mayors of Wrongtown this weekend. I'm going to try and get him to do a live stream. Like, I talked to him the other day, so we got the meetup on Saturday, and I wanted to come back here on Saturday night. And Jason, he'll probably come too. Like, so that we can have a chaperone. Jason can be our chaperone, and Aidsy and I can get fucking messed up, and Jason can keep us in line, sort of thing. Work language. Oh Christ, I've been at my current workplace for over a year. I'm a contractor, so I tend to change like every 6 months, but the current people like me. I appear to be doing a good job, and I've been there for over a year, and no one there knows about this stuff yet. It's always hilarious when people at work find out about the stuff I do on YouTube, how they react to it. It's usually positive. It's sometimes quite I made you say work, Joe. One of my favourite ones was years ago. Australian folks, you remember the Cheesy Mite thing, the Vegemite 2.0, Cheesy Bite 2.0. The fucking travesty that Vegemite did. I made a video going on about how fucking dumb the name was with the I Select 2.0 or whatever the fuck it was. I can't even remember. Now it's just called Cheesy Bite, which is a much better name. And I did this little rant about it, like how dumb it was. And a couple of days after, when I was at work, and I was working for a bank at this point, right? And I was talking to one of the guys who was in charge of the department that I was working for. And he's going, so, all right, so we need to, talk about the project and this and that, but there's a fairly pressing question I need to ask you. The fuck are you so worked up about Vegemite for? I lost it because it's like, oh my God, he just played that totally straight. And it's his way of telling me that he found me on YouTube. And I was like, oh God. So it happens every now and then, but it hasn't happened for a while. And I've been at this place for over a year and no one's picked it up yet. So I don't know if it'll happen. They seem to want to keep me around. Oh, is that what you're doing? Shifting cars around. Okay. I was just talking about being found out at work for YouTube stuff. It's like, kind of like, you know, the thing that's happening on YouTube at the moment where advertisers are suddenly realizing their ads are appearing on some dodgy as fuck videos and they're pulling their ads. I just assume there's no ads on my videos because of the way I swear and carry on all the time. Oh dear. So a lot of the people who've been doing these really aggressive videos now aren't getting ads, and they're really weird. Yeah. Look, nothing's permanent but change, Taz. I mean, having been doing YouTube for about 11 years now, it changes all the time. You just got to keep up. Bo, you're right. I probably should try and convert something to ABC or SBS. Good call, Nathan. Just sign up for YouTube Red and ads are no longer an issue. That's the thing. Anyone who makes any sort of headway on YouTube realizes early on is that if you establish an audience on YouTube, first thing you've got to do is diversify. You know, maybe you have a YouTube Red thing, maybe you have another website, maybe do the Patreon thing. It's interesting you're saying just there about because I have been doing this for so long that advertisers should just know what I am. And they do. I actually got my first email the other day saying, your video was not approved for monetization. And it wasn't a new video. It was a 5-year-old video of Mistress M talking about sex. And I'm completely okay with if they don't want to advertise that, because I don't think anyone watches videos that old anyway. But it was kind of hilarious that this was like a 5-6-year-old video that they're just going, oh, it's been completely innocuous for 5 or 6 years, but now we think it shouldn't be monetized. It was like, oh my fucking God. Look, Mistress M is so cool. She moved to Adelaide to actually get a degree in psychology. And I keep meaning to do a trip over to Adelaide and catch up with her and even shoot some videos when we together, because the Mistress M stuff was so much fun. Everyone moves. Like I was doing, after Mistress M, I was doing, what do you call it? With more sex videos mainly with Eva and Viola. And then Eva moved to Queensland. In fact, when I moved, apparently I'm close to being neighbours with Viola now. I was talking to her today, and so I'm going to try and get her to come back and do some more videos, because I love making videos with other people. YouTube Red, I don't think I'm on. There's a question there about how much I earn from YouTube Red. I don't earn much at all from YouTube. I used to earn more, then they changed things a bit, and I should try harder. But so people saying, oh, you want to be really big on YouTube? It's like, well, for reals, I'm an IT contractor, and I don't know if you know how much IT contractors get paid. More than YouTubers. To make anything comparable to my day job from YouTube, I would literally have to be in the top 1% of YouTubers worldwide to have a chance. And that ain't going to happen, so I don't worry about it, and I just do it for fun. Yeah, Mistress M just disappeared, and it was literally because she moved away. Oh, the masks. Stephen, that is a really interesting question, and I often think of bringing them back. I've still got them all. The masks, talking about being an IT contractor, I wanted to be semi-anonymous when I did YouTube, and the masks were the idea, and also because I did theatre at uni and I did a lot of mask work, I know how to work with masks and create characters. So I thought I can create characters and be at least pseudo-anonymous, because the IT scene in Melbourne is kind of small and conservative and gossipy, and so I didn't want to be found out. And so for the first 18 months or so that I was on YouTube, I never showed my real face. And that, while I really enjoyed the characters of the masks, because I had like a dozen or more that I would do. There were 4 core ones. No, there were 5 core ones. There was Mr. Angry, the original one. And then there were the 4 housemates of the apocalypse. The vampire one, Mr. Flamboyant, because he looks super gay. The demon one, Mr. Red, who thought he was very hardcore but really wasn't. The demon that I just called Mr. Insane. And the witch one that looked really boring, that was Mr. Boring. And they were like, I played them, they were voices that were in my head, they all lived in my head, and they were like housemates, and they had relationships with each other, which people thought was crazy, but so that's how I make characters. I imagine, who are they, how do they live, what are their relationships to each other. I should bring them back. And I maybe will. This year I had set myself the goal to more or less try and reinvent what I was doing and bring new life into it. You're talking about the difference between the older videos that had 3 minutes and lots of edits, and now I do, for the last 5 or so years, I do very long one-take videos a lot of the time. Things just change, I guess. And because the whole YouTube thing was, jump cut, really fast. And I liked being the person who was doing something else. And so doing long one-take videos. Oh, we're talking about Corey. Yes, look, Corey is the most awesome guy, the best friend I've made on the internet. And I owe basically all success, any success I had on my channel, I owe to Corey. Our shrimp on the Barbie, that was a beautiful video. That was the first time he stayed with me. The 30-second video, and it's absolutely beautiful. That was all him as well. It's amazing to work with him. He's so meticulous. He is an amazing person. When you look at his videos, you'd be forgiven for thinking, oh, they're flowing and free and easy and whatnot. He's incredibly meticulous. Like, he's talked about his ADD a lot, but when he gets focused on an idea, it's incredible to watch, because I've been with him and he spends like hours editing something, just getting it absolutely perfect. So he is one of the most amazing people, and I love seeing him do different things. But now I've been doing this for 2 hours, so I think I'm going to go to bed. But if you enjoyed this, look, keep following, looking on things like Twitter and whatnot, because I'm almost certain to be doing this weekend with Aussie. You Garden Shed for a Shadow Place. I do not have a formal place to make my videos yet, because we haven't really set up. So I don't know what my video making studio will be in the new house yet. We do have a spare room. Maybe if I put up some sound deadening stuff, I can shout in there, but it's full of boxes at the moment. So I've been doing stuff here in the kitchen. I've been doing stuff in my bedroom. We'll see how it works out. I'm not really set up in the new house yet, but it's an interesting change. And I really enjoy these chats too. Back in the days when Blog TV worked, I really enjoyed doing that. And now that this works, I think I'll be doing this much more often, because it's a lot of fun. It's a great change of pace. I love just the talking, and I love talking about ideas and working this out. So I'm hoping tomorrow to have like an edited TFU video up. We'll see how that goes. Like I said, we've got to go out to Geelong. People who don't know Melbourne and Geelong, let's drive of an hour or so. That's for work, my day job. I've got to go out there and come back tomorrow, and maybe work out some ideas and post a video tomorrow night, and hopefully do like a live stream with AZ over the weekend as well. So stay tuned and see what happens. Oh, Initiator, we'll have more meetups, okay? They happen every month or two. So yeah, meetups are fun. Actually, this is the thing, if you're a YouTuber or in any sort of online community and you get the opportunity to have a real life meetup, do it. It's heaps fun. It's really good. I try to get as many people as possible to do it. So, and this is a nice halfway point, having this little interactive chat and whatnot. I've really enjoyed it. So thanks everyone for coming along and taking part in this. There'll probably be at least one more this weekend, hopefully with AZ, and we might do some very creative stuff. So stay tuned. Okay, I'm going to sign off for now, and I'll catch you all later. Thanks everyone for being along, and see you another time.